Hello, I'm Creep Freak and welcome back to my channel. This is part 2.5 of my Let's Draw series, since I had to split these drawings up into 2 separate videos. But now the twins are together at last, standing side by side, as has always happened and always will be. But yes, the character we're drawing today is using the same prompt as we did for the last character, which was the red and black licorice and jelly beans. You can see when I was coming up with the mock-up designs and rough drafts, I had made 2 different designs, which means the potential of 2 different characters. One more inspired by the red licorice and red jelly beans, while the other one was more inspired by the black licorice and jelly beans. So I made them twin sisters. B, who's the one we drew in the last video, is the one more inspired by the black licorice and jelly beans. Hence why her outfit and overall personality leans more towards punkish and tomboyish, and her main colors being purplish black and her accent colors being red. But her twin sister, whose name is C. Andy Twiz, see what I did there? But everyone calls it Andy or Red for short. She is more inspired by red licorice and jelly beans. I really want the twins to be the same, but also totally opposites of each other. So you find similar things in the designs and even color scheme, if you really look hard enough. I'll probably point them out to you later. Why'd I do that anyway? In the last video, I went more over how I do my sketching and my line art, how I build these kind of characters and things like that. But for this one, I think I'm going to go more into choosing what the colors and how I shade things. But for now, as the sketching process goes on, I'll go more into my overall actual thought process as how I design these characters and some bits of lore for them and the overall game idea. The game is called Sweetland Candy Crushers, by the way. What? I'm doing character designs. Of course I'm going to build up a whole new world for them to live in. And of course I'm probably never going to do anything with it, but that's beside the point. Once I was done filling in the splash page and cleaning up a couple things, it was time for an outfit design. And for Andy's design, I wanted to do something bright, girly, and frilly, the opposite of B's punk and tomboyish outfit. So I knew it was going to be some kind of dress and or skirt. But the problem I was facing at the time, her silhouette was starting to look sort of similar to Cherry's silhouette, with her pigtails and kind of fluffy dress. You can see similarities between the two, and that was something I did not want to happen so early in the designing process. In case you don't know, silhouettes are very important with character designs for pretty much whatever project you're working on, whether it's a comic series, TV series, video game series, all that fun stuff. Because you don't want your characters to have similar silhouettes. You want them to be easily recognizable and stand out from the rest of the cast, while also looking like they live in the same universe. For example, I'm going to throw up some silhouettes of famous characters on the screen. Some of them are from the same series, and some of them are not. I want you to take a minute to guess who is who and what series they are from. Time's up! Got your guesses? Good, let's see if you're right. We have Cuphead and Mugman from the Cuphead series, Bart Simpson, Joker from Persona 5, Princess Bubblegum and Marceline from Adventure Time, and Novelette from Genshin Impact. Wait, did I pronounce that? Oh wait, yes I did! Ha! Anyway, back to what I was talking about with the silhouette and their importance. You can tell by the silhouettes alone what characters belong together in the same universe and who doesn't. Yes, this has a lot to do with the art style, with cartoony and realistic, but we're putting that to the side for now. Like, for instance, let's put Cuphead and Mugman and put them next to Princess Bubblegum and Marceline. Cuphead and Mugman are from the Bullet Hell video game that's also got its own show up on Netflix. The game and show and the overall art style of Cuphead, as a lot of us might know, is heavily inspired by the 1930s Rubber Hose cartoons. They have the same body type, same shoes, same gloves, and even shorts and so on. You can easily tell who is who based on color alone, but in silhouettes, it gets a little more difficult. But you can tell exactly who is who with these key things. For example, Mugman has a bigger nose than Cuphead, sticking out of the silhouette. Cuphead's straw is bendy, while Mugman's is not. And lastly, Cuphead is, well, a cuphead. It's more short and squat, like a teacup. And Mugman's head is a little more like a mug, slightly taller than Cuphead's. You can tell there's similarities between the two of them, but you can also tell the differences as well. In silhouette, you could also pass Marceline and Princess Bubblegum as something from the Cuphead series, since they also have rubber hose-like aspects to them, mainly in their arms and legs, and overall how they're built. But a lot of the humanoid characters in Adventure Time are like that. But the limbs and arms also go to things like animals, machines, and basically anything with arms and legs is those little rubber hosey arms and legs. Like, you can't sit here and tell me there wasn't any kind of inspiration from older rubber hose cartoons in some way. You just can't. Okay, I went on a bit of a tangent there with the importance of silhouettes. Hope you learned something from it. But to really break it down for you, when you're making a main cast for any kind of project and you don't want people to mistake one character for another, even if they have different outfits or faces and whatnot, silhouette could help you with that. In silhouette, you want them to stand out from each other, and it's just a little trick to help you make your characters look more interesting, and to see if you can easily tell who is who. And if you're not sure, ask a friend or someone who knows or is familiar with your characters. Show them your characters in silhouette side by side and ask them if they recognize who the characters are. Anyway, back to the drawing and why I even brought up the whole thing with the silhouettes. As I said, I don't want the characters to look very similar to each other, especially this early on. I don't want Andy to look like Cherry in the silhouette. So how I fixed this was I played around with some different dresses and accessories that I felt fit Andy very well. For instance, I added ruffly sleeves and then added little cuff sleeves, arm warmers, shortly sleeves. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're called, but they're cute as heck. I'm sure if you put up Andy's and Cherry's silhouettes next to each other now, you can easily tell the difference between them. And maybe even with Andy's original concept, you could have kind of told them apart, but I just want to make the difference between them pretty clear. Anyway, going back with Andy and Bee being sisters, especially twin sisters, I wanted them to have similarities between them and their outfits, like as I mentioned earlier. For instance, they both have licorice belts around their waist, something on the arms. Like for Bee, it's her bandages and bracelets, and for Andy, it's the arm warmer things. That, and also with how their hair is both styled being twisted braids with beads, which is put up in different styles. And I am now realizing I forgot to add Andy's beads. Frick! Oh well. Anyway, here I'm getting ready to do Andy's hairstyle and just mapping out the parts of her hair so I can kind of experiment with styles a little bit, since I'm not totally sold on the pigtails look just yet. But I just didn't end up liking it. I use my own custom brushes that I made in Procreate, which is the program I use. Everything from my sketching to my line art, all custom brushes I made for myself, including the ones you see me use here for the hair. If you want me to make a video on my brushes, how I use them, and how I make brushes, please let me know. After a few tries with the hairstyle, I just wasn't really feeling it and was getting frustrated, so I went ahead and moved on to figure out her color palette so I could just kind of get an idea of the hairstyle later. God, my voice is killing me! You can see here I was trying out different color combinations and different patterns on the dress, trying to match what I see in my head. But as I go along with it, I start to second guess myself since it's not quite turning out how I thought it would. So I'm trying out a bunch of different color combinations, like one that's similar to Bee's main color scheme, except the colors kind of reverse, with red being the main color here, while purplish black is kind of the secondary color. I thought it would have been cute if they kind of had like opposite but matching color schemes as well, but I didn't really like how it looked on her, so I went with lighter and brighter, more fun colors like pinky reds and kind of creamy whites and yellows. But I was happy enough to just go ahead and move on and kind of go ahead and decide what I want with the hair. I went back and forth with a couple of these, like with the messy twin buns and the big floofy bun that almost kind of looked like Polar Pop Twizzlers. I asked for some feedback from others to see what they thought, and my mother came up with the idea that I should do a beehive look with how her braids wrap around it. So, thank you, Mama. And then it just became like a sort of struggle to decide like how I should stylize her bangs or like how the pieces should like frame her face. So that was a bit of a battle, but I got it. After making a few more tweaks and adjustments for the colors and patterns, it was finally time to lay down all my flat colors and then finish up the hair so I can start my shading process. Whee! Okay, I apologize in advance. I had to blow up the drawing so you can see what I'm doing. And I also had to speed it up so there weren't any like long and awkward pauses this time around. I'm not doing very complicated shading, but to explain it a little better, my kind of shading is what some people would call soft shading. I don't use a lot of hard shadows and highlights for a lot of my work, especially if it's something I'm trying to be quick with. So a lot of my shadows and highlights are kind of soft along most of the edges. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go into depth with my shading style and how I shade the body or the face or hair or even the clothes, because this is not the best drawing to do that with, especially if you can't really see what I'm working on. That's my bad though, but I will still try and teach you a little bit something about how I do shading. For instance, When I place my shadows, I already have an idea in mind where the light is coming from, which for me is usually on the upper left side of the character, just a bit in front of them, like this. When you are doing this sort of technique, you want to put your shadows on opposite sides of where the light is, of course. And just keep in mind with how light and shadows kind of wrap around the objects you're shading. If you're having some trouble with that concept, I highly suggest you make an orb and color and shade it. Yep, that orb you've seen a million times by now, and maybe even done it yourself a couple times. I also want you to do the same thing with cubes, pyramids, and cylinders. Cylinders are very helpful. I want you to mess around with different lighting and how the light and shadows affects each object, and even how like an object like a cube being in front of a pyramid with the light casting a shadow from the upper right, and how it would affect both the cube and the pyramid in shadow and light. It's a very helpful little study you can apply to any drawing really, especially with like different parts of the body. And this is how it turned out. It turned out so much cuter than I've even thought beforehand. Like even cuter than the original design. I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I'm happier to be done with it finally. And here's just a quick little thing of the two sisters side by side. Yay! Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you had fun with it and that you learned something from it. And now it is time that we say goodbye. Goodbye and see you next time. Oh, wait. What candy should I draw next? Okay, now it's bye. Bye.